If you're a regular user of TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, my guest today may be familiar to you. Matt Moore built a significant following, helping thousands of people navigate TikTok Shop and create sustainable online income streams. He's known for transforming complete beginners into successful digital entrepreneurs through his content and workshops. Today, we're exploring whether the promise of online success is truly achievable for everyone. Matt says, absolutely, yes it is. Even those that are just starting out could be making £10,000 within 90 days if they're consistent and they follow some simple tips and tricks. So, how does TikTok Shop work? Can anyone do this? What are the do's and don'ts? How do you get out of the dreaded 200 view jail? How do you grow to 1,000 followers so you can be a TikTok Shop creator? This is some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, and we'll try and answer all of your questions. This is Shifting Views with Willis. Okay, Matt Moore, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming up to Hull.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's brilliant to be here. It's a really cool set as well. Like I said when I got here, it's very impressive. So,
oh, thank you. Yeah, you've braved the weather, braved the Hull train.
Yep.
You come up this way often? You come up to the north very often?
No, actually, I've been up to the north a few times. This is the first time in Hull. Yeah. But not bad to get here from London. I was surprised. Only 2.5 hours on the direct. So yeah, it was all right.
Go Hull trains. No, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming in. So you've helped lots and lots of people get into this world of TikTok Shop. You talk a lot about it in your videos, and you really are trying to put this point across of saying essentially anyone with a phone can use this service that's available and could be making money online.
Yeah.
What's driven you to get to this point? I mean, I suppose it would be good to just start with a little bit of background. You know, why do you do this, and what's got you to this point?
Yeah, I know. It's a great question. I mean, for me, my background is it's a long journey to get here. I think it's very simple. Like, a lot of people say it's taken them a year to go from nothing to this magic success they talk about online. It's taken me the best part of a decade, right? I started when I was 16. I started posting on YouTube. I was big into photography and videography back then. And then off the back of that, I did that for a couple of years, and I launched an e-commerce store, and I sold my own digital products and like presets for editing photos and stuff on the back of that. Then I got into drop shipping when that was all a big thing. That was when I was like 18, 19. And then from that, I learned a lot of skills building websites and running ads and all that kind of stuff. So I then became a freelancer for multiple years, and then tried to turn the freelancing into a bit more of an agency. So I've done like every kind of online business model that pretty much exists.
Yeah.
Tried them all, and then ended up, I hated my agency. Got to the point I wanted just to shut it down, and I was posting content at that time to try and bring clients on. Because I see all these big guys posting content, and I was like, there's got to be something here. I'd done YouTube beforehand. And then, went full circle. And really, when I started trying TikTok Shop at the beginning of the year, 2024, and I saw how, I hesitate to use the word easy, because for beginners, it's not going to be easy, but simple it was for you to actually go from nothing to making your first couple of quid, whether it's £10 or £15, £100. Yeah. That blew my mind. And I was like, when I first started, I make myself sound old here, but when I first started, there was
back in my day,
back when I was young, there genuinely wasn't much on that. I remember I used to go to YouTube, and I'm like, way to make money online. And it used to be always videos like selling sweets at school or selling Coca-Cola. Yeah. And now there's all these different opportunities. So when I first saw it, I was like, out of everything that I've tried for like the last 8-10 years, it was by far and away the thing that really shocked me. And I was like, I can't actually believe that this is real. You know, you're kind of like refreshing. Is it actually working? And that was when I was like, I found it. It took me so long to find something. I feel like just the normal person, an extra couple £100 a month is going to make a big difference.
Sure it is, yeah. Sure.
So that was really my motivation, because it's like, you know, it took me way too long to get.
So so you've had success in actually doing this in terms of, because the question will always be, you know, why should we listen to Matt? You know, so I would assume that you're saying, well, I've done this. I've made lots of money from doing it. I know how it works. I've figured out the hooks and all the bits, and now I'm sharing that out. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, pretty much. So I've been doing it for, the best part of this year now. I mean, it's only been out for like a couple of years. It's a very recent thing.
Exactly, yeah.
So I've been doing it throughout this year. And I mean, but even before that, I've been doing content. Like in total, in the last 6 months, I've got like 50 million views on TikTok. In total, probably easily a couple of 100 million views. On YouTube, about 15 million views, 160,000 subscribers. So I've been in the content game and getting good at this, and I've been helping myself, my clients, and all this. So for me, when I started, it came across quite quick and quite natural to me. Yeah. And that's where, I think one of my first months was like 15,000 in a month, and I was like, that was commissions as well, like personal take-home profit. And I was like, that was insane. For beginners, it's going to take them a long time to get there, if at all. But that was when I was like, yeah, this is something that can really.
Is this as a TikTok shop creator you're talking about though?
Yeah.
So essentially just tagging a product in your post and then you getting a commission for it. That's how you was making that money.
Yeah, the way that I describe it is you find a product and then you simply film a sensible review of the product, and then you tag the product in the video, and then you post it to TikTok. So it's simply just posting review videos and posting them to TikTok.
Yeah.
So that's the creator element of it. So you don't manage any of the stock or fulfillment or run the brand or anything. You're just literally the creator that films it.
So what are some of the most, would you say when people first start out doing this, what are some of the biggest sort of misconceptions you would say that they're out there?
Biggest misconception is quick, easy money. I mean, this is the thing, is you can make quick, easy money, right? Anything, there are opportunities to do that, but for the most people, it's not going to be quick. You make your first month, you make your first 10 grand. It's not going to happen. You're probably going to make maybe a couple £100 to a first couple of thousand in your first month, and then it grows from there. That's the biggest misconception. And the fact that it's going to take you no time at all. Like I said, it's taken me nearly a decade to work all this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be naive for me to say that like anybody can do this in like the first couple of weeks. You can definitely get good results in the first 3 months if you just give it some time. That would be the first biggest misconception, I'd say. In terms of like everything else, it would just be the content, the naive, thinking that you can. It's a skill at the end of the day, right? You've got to. Posting an organic video that can go on to get tens of millions of views isn't something that you're born with this innate ability to do. You have to learn it. And people do get lucky.
Yeah.
And I find that the younger audience just inherently have that skill a bit better.
Yeah.
But
because they've lived on their devices, right?
Yeah, they've grown up with things like TikTok.
Yeah.
So, if you're learning a new language or you're learning to drive a car or whatever you're trying to learn a new skill, it's going to take you a good amount of time and consistency and volume of repetition to get that skill down to the point that you can get the dream result, which is millions of views in this case. So just having that belief that you're going to go viral on your first video, probably not possible. You can 100% go viral in your first month if you post a couple of videos a day and just get it down in practice. So yeah, those would probably be the two really.
This you have a claim that you put out where you can say you could potentially make £10,000 in 90 days. Can you break down that claim into what that actually means? And is that literally somebody could do that? Or is this like a potential thing?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could do it. I'm not going to say that everyone can do it. It's one of those things that like anybody can, not everybody will. The reason that claim came about though, which is, I mentioned this earlier, but it blew my mind. There was a girl who joined my coaching program, the community that we run. And we asked her after she was in, I was like, can you just share your results? When everyone joins, like, share your results, just so we can see some motivation. And she made £23,000 in a little under 3 months.
Wow. In
take-home commissions and personal profit. And that was when I was like, I mean, that's like $30,000 or whatever it might be. But and that was where I was like, okay, you can make more than that. I've seen people doing like in America, I've seen people making like $160,000 in a month.
And is just to take that example, is that on multiple products that she was making videos on, and it was that. Can you like give a context of the workload in that? Was that because she was endlessly posting, or was it that she had a couple of videos that just did particularly well?
Literally, I think it was about 2 or 3 videos.
Right.
It was a supplement called Triple N.
Oh yeah, of course.
You've probably seen it.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, she just posted a few videos on that, and I'm not taking responsibility for her doing so well. That was entirely her, right? Credit to her, but. It was literally just a couple of videos that did incredibly well. I mean, she had other videos and other products that were supplementing that, but to the magnitude of 23,000, no, that was bulk from one, and then a few grand here and there from other products.
So thinking about the products then, so that's a good example of supplement. I'm seeing so many videos on supplements because it seems to be one of the hitters at the moment that's doing particularly well. That and the 4-in-1 charging cable, which I did buy, and I have to say it's really, really good. So, but is there a trick to this? I mean, do you need to be finding like the trending product and purchasing that product, and whether or not you want that product or not, you're just buying it because you're planning to sell it? Or should you be buying stuff that actually you think would be valuable, you have an interest in, you would use, and it makes it more authentic?
in all honesty, it's a bit of a mix of everything.
Yeah.
If you want that fast success, trending products are going to be the easiest way to do that. The way that the TikTok platform works is essentially, say for example, you know, the triple N capsules, right? Let's say they go viral and they get a couple million views on the first creator that does it. Now, if anybody else jumps on that trend because they've seen it go viral, TikTok's seen people buying it, they're obviously making money from it, so they're going to start pushing that product more and prioritizing it in terms of reach. But you're going to get 2 million views on that. Not everyone's going to buy the first time, but they've seen it and maybe they have objections. You know, is it safe? Does it work for me? Can I get in the UK? How long does it last? All these basic objections. So then if you jump on that trend as a beginner, you can get 100,000 views, 200,000 views on that video, and you're recapturing the people from the first video that have seen it, or the second or the third. So you're almost like, every time that you make a video on it, you're kind of retargeting the people that have already seen it. And so because of that, trending products are very easy to get your initial success. And especially now we're in Black Friday and Christmas, trending products, like we're seeing across all of our students and everything, that trending products are the easiest way to get into it.
Yeah.
But to answer the question on, you know, other kind of products, my advice to everyone is, like, if you have a passion around the product and you like the product, it's much better idea to film that, because your review on it is going to be much more authentic and it's going to be genuine, and that will come across in a video. And people are very good at telling whether or not you're authentic and genuine.
Sure.
And so, like, if you can show that, you can make pretty much any product.
Yeah, because I would say, I mean, I'm an avid user of TikTok, and I would say right now, because TikTok Shop has exploded, every man, woman, and the dog is flogging something on TikTok Shop. You know, what I mean, and kudos, because everyone's just trying to do, you know, the thing you're encouraging them to do, right? Everyone's having a go and say, well, let's see if we can do it. But you're absolutely right. I mean, there's so many videos that, you know, I would say are tosh. You know, they're just not very good videos because it's not authentic. You can see it's like, hey guys, buy this thing because it's really, really good. And I think, well, if you saw that video, would you buy that? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know, when you've got that, you can feel authenticity. I think it happens instantly. You know, if it's genuine and then you're not trying to be forcingly to be funny, or you're not trying to like push like a benefit particularly, you're saying it because you genuinely feel it. You can feel it almost instantly, just like you could in the conversation. Is that what you sort of trying to say to students? Are you saying, look, authenticity is the key here?
Yeah, honestly, if your video seems like an ad, people will swipe.
Yeah.
You have to make it feel genuine, feel like it's an authentic review. The way that I always say to people is, like, okay, you're watching YouTube, right? You have pre-roll adverts, the skippable ads. You're on Sky Movies and you're watching a new show, and every 30 minutes, whatever, sodding advert comes up. And all you want to do is swipe, or you're waiting to click the skip ad button, or you're waiting for the ads to finish and you're on your phone on Instagram while the ads are running. On TikTok, it's different. If you get served an ad, you have to make a single thumb movement, just a single swipe. And it's such a subconscious thing that people will do. And so an exercise I run in my free classes is I'll show like a terrible video, and I'm like, look, would you swipe from this? Would you buy? And everyone's instantly, they're like, swipe, because it comes across as forced, comes across as an advert. So if it's just like an authentic, like, I've got this really cool product, and, like, you know, you've probably seen this all over your For You page. Here's an actual review from someone that's been using it for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's more authentic and it will typically do better. Yeah.
So from your point of view, and when you're speaking to students, and quick people will be asking this question, they'll be sort of saying, well, what is an authentic ad? How do I make an authentic ad? You know, like, where do I even start when I pick up my phone? I've bought this glass, I've picked up my phone, and I want to promote that glass. What is a good video?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great question. I love like formulas and logic, and my background, I did physics at uni for 4 years, right? So everything is logical formulas for me. But
like Walter White on me.
Yeah. But the video formula structure that I always say to people is, your first couple of seconds is your hook. That's where you got to get someone's attention. So you got the hook for the first 2 to 3 seconds. Then you've got your meat and potatoes, which is you're talking about the solutions and how it's solving problem in unique ways, the USP of the product. Then you got your call to action. So you break it up into 3 parts. Your video is about 40 seconds long. That's what I typically say to aim for.
Right.
Your first couple of seconds, the way you start it, honestly, and I advise this to everyone, is if you order a product from TikTok Shop or from Amazon and you get it, film yourself unboxing it.
Yeah.
and looking at the product for the very, very first time, the first time you play the board game you're trying to sell, or the first time you apply the makeup or whatever it is you're trying to do, film it, because you're going to get your raw reaction on camera. And whether or not, so for example, the thing I gave an example yesterday on one of my TikTok lives, which is if you have a pair of noise cancelling headphones, you know, put the noise cancelling headphones on your head, get your girlfriend to come in or your wife to come in and film you and say, like, trying to see if you can hear them walk in, and you're going to get scared and there'll be a jump scare in that. And that authentic reaction to the product in use goes at the beginning. That's your hook. And then you talk about the product.
Yeah. And we hear this a lot about the hook, because we sort of say, listen, you've probably got, 3 seconds or something like that before somebody swipes. If you're very lucky, before somebody swipes. And I was speaking to someone a few weeks ago, and they were saying about, he works in marketing, but he was saying, when I finish work at the end of the day and I'm sat on my sofa, lounged out, doom scrolling, when I'm on TikTok, it's like, I don't want to be sold to or anything like that. I'm there to, like, just numb my brain and just watch stuff. Yeah. Now, if you're selling stuff in that way, then obviously you can't be selling it, because the user just doesn't want to, unless they really want that product and you're really lucky. But by and large, they're doom scrolling.
Yeah.
So the thing that you put across has got to immediately hook them in to make them go, what is it?
Yeah.
Now, we hear the word hook all the time. Every person online is saying, have a good hook.
Have a good hook.
What is a hook? Give me an example of a hook.
Yeah.
What would you say in 3 seconds?
So the way that I think of a hook is, I say there's 3 parts to the hook. Now, when someone looks at a video, they go through 3 phases before they're going to decide to swipe. And the first thing is visually what they see. Now, you can process visual information in like a split second, 1/10 of a second. If visually, I mean, we spoke about people coming on the podcast that like really bad camera lighting and setup and stuff like that. If it visually looks boring, or like it shows something that you've seen before that hasn't got views or wasn't interesting, you're going to say, well, this looks similar to that previous video that was really boring, so swipe, before you've even heard what they say or read what's on the screen.
Yeah.
Next thing is the text on the screen. Now, you can typically read a sentence in sub 1 second. Then you have what you say, which would probably go on for 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So what people get wrong is they say, well, you know, it's the words that I say that's going to grab the attention. But the chances are I've made a conscious decision whether I'm going to watch before you finish your first sentence or your first 3 words, based on what I'm reading and what I'm showing. So when you make a hook, you've got to show a reaction to something, a raw, human, authentic, genuine reaction to something happening or an event, or honesty to whatever you're showing works the best. So like I said, with the, you know, put the noise cancelling headphones on and someone jump scares you, right? You're like, in the moment you're shocked. Then you put like some text on the screen and it's just filmed at high quality. So you have those 3 things that if they compound, they work together. You know, if the text provides context of what I'm seeing, and then the audio, what you say, provides context of what I read and confirms that something is going to happen, and that visual hook that I saw is going to be a payoff at the end of the video.
So the hook is essentially the combination of 3 things. So you're saying there's a text on screen, there's the vocal text, the noise, the thing you're saying, and there's the visual thing that you're looking at. Yeah. Is it true that the text on screen should never be the same thing as what you're saying in your first line? It should be different context.
It should be different. I mean, I wouldn't say should be. Obviously, it can be the same. It can still work, but ideally, different. Same kind of topic, but a shorter, more concise way of telling people what's going to happen at the end of the video. So I always say you've got to have a few things, which is relatability, controversy, provide some form of guarantee of payoff, something going to happen at the end, and then raise the stakes. If you can do those 4 things and offer some form of proof that there's going to be a desired outcome is going to happen, that's typically your payoff.
Yeah.
If you can get those 4 things or 2 of those things and you pack them into a sentence, and then it's really concise, then you can expand on that in a sentence that you say.
Is it do you have to, because I see loads of stuff about people having lines, you know, and they say use one of these sort of 10 hooks and you know, it'll guarantee whatever. And it's usually you know, like guys, you never believe what happened, or you know, some sort of like, you know, cliffhanger type line. Is there merit to that? Or it would that actually be quite forced if you weren't authentically saying that? Do you know what I mean?
So it's a good baseline to start from.
Yeah.
It's everything has to have a foundation to build off of, right? And like for a beginner who typically will pick up their phone and say the first thing that comes to their head, those simple frameworks can give you something to start and build from.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they're going to be the magic bullet. It's not going to make you go viral, and like you say, it will come off very forced.
Yeah.
But the basis is there to them. Like the intent behind it is correct. Whether or not it's not like you say the sentence, it's going to work.
Yeah. So I was thinking about the actual process of making a TikTok shop video. So you were saying that, be authentic, film the unboxing. I saw on one of the live events attended of yours, you were saying about doing a POV, so a point of view with like a voiceover. Is that a best approach? So having like a faceless thing rather than being on camera?
Honestly, I mean, if you do show your face and you show it in an authentic way, you're probably going to do better because people buy from people.
Yeah.
Especially if you're selling consumable products like supplements and things I have to eat and ingest. If I see your face, I trust you're not going to poison me. So I'll probably buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can 100% do this. All of my accounts are faceless. All of my students' accounts are faceless. More often than not, I'd say 99% of accounts out there are faceless, and they all do well enough. So you don't have to show your face if you don't want to. No.
Yeah. All right, I've got a couple of key questions for you, which is the age-old questions that everybody asks about TikTok. So let's just crack through these really quickly. How do you break out of the 200 view jail? Is this a thing?
Yeah, it is a thing. But so the first thing I want to tackle here is the 200 view jail. You're not shadow banned. So there's this whole thing about shadow banning that does exist when you typically get, like, if you're getting 10 views per video, then you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
If you're getting 200-300 views per video, you're not shadow banned. It's just your content just isn't good enough. And it's mean to say, but like objectively, like,
that'd be brutal. We have to be people. Listen, we have to be brutal, right? Okay.
Yeah. But okay, so you think of it like a competition, right? You've got millions and millions and millions of different creators out there, and it's just a competition. The best content gets rewarded for engagement and people liking it, and it's the same in like life, right? The best things you do always gets rewarded. So it's same on TikTok. So if it's in that 200 view jail, your first metric to look for is you need to start understanding why it's not there. That's step one. And for most people, it is your hook, as much as I hate that word, but it is your hook. And the way you can notice, and the simpler thing to look at, is go to your analytics on that video and look at the retention graph, which is the percentage of people still watching it a certain second throughout.
Yeah.
And if you go to the 3-second mark and 70% of people have left, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you could have the best video, but if your packaging isn't good in the first couple of seconds, they're going to go. So you just have to, like what we've spoken about, you have to focus on that, like really grabbing someone's attention, make them want to watch to the end at the beginning, and that will get you into that 500,000, 2,000 view range. And then it's another story to get that to like hundreds.
So as I understand it from the algorithm, and I suppose everybody claims they know the science of the algorithm. I don't know if anybody actually does, but as I understand it, so TikTok will roll out your video to something like 200 or 300 people. Based on the engagement of that, it then determines whether to roll that out to another 200 or 300 people, and based on that, and so on, and then it grows and grows.
Yeah.
But if in that first rollout it just doesn't get retention, so people aren't watching it, there's no engagement, no comments, no reposts, then it says people don't like this, we're not going to push it. Is that basically what it is in a nutshell? Yeah,
pretty much. And you can see it, like when you get a viral video, you can see it. Like you'll see your video and it'll be like, the first couple of minutes will get to 1,000 views. You're like, oh wow, it's suddenly hit, and then it will stop and it'll slow for 20 minutes. Then it'll go again, then it'll slow and it'll go again.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a threshold of around 20,000 views, and then you're just refreshing, and every time you refresh, there's another couple of thousand views have come in, and then it just it runs to like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of views.
If you was relating that back to TikTok Shop, does that mean essentially any type of content really you could connect to a shop, to a product? It doesn't necessarily have to be a review video of sort of saying, hey, look, I bought this and it's the best thing ever. It could actually be completely out of context. And, if I was talking about microphones and I was doing a podcast, I could naturally make that link almost. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a product focused video.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so the way that I say this, there's two parts to this. So in marketing, when you're trying to sell any form of product, all right, you have some form of awareness funnel, which essentially means we as business owners and marketers, we have to try and put buyers into different buckets to determine, like, are you a buyer, or are you going to buy in the future? Who are you? So I can get my marketing message to resonate with you the best.
Yeah.
And so it goes through 4 levels. We have at the bottom of the funnel, we've got product awareness, which is people that know about the product, have seen it somewhere before, or are thinking about buying it, or have added it to cart. Then, well, I'll go from the top to the bottom. So you've got symptom awareness, right? Which is typically, I've got a headache. That's not the problem. The problem is you're dehydrated, but the symptom you feel is a headache.
Yeah.
You may not be aware, which is the next level, is problem awareness. So you've got symptom aware, then problem aware, then solution aware, and then you've got product aware. And so you have to take people through all these different brackets. And so with every single product, you can reverse engineer it and push it further up the funnel. Mm-hmm. And the further up the funnel you get to, the more people it appeals to, the higher the chance that it's going to be relatable.
Right.
Because there are more people that have headaches, right, than people that know the problem is maybe dehydration. It could be caffeine withdrawal. You could be tired. You could be unwell. And so there's lots of different problems there that could be the cause of the symptom. And there's lots of different solutions that could treat that problem. You could, you got Prime Hydration, which is the product.
Yeah.
It could be paracetamol, all these different things, right? So when you create a TikTok shop video and you have an objectively boring product, like, a microphone, there's nothing special about the microphone. If you start the video and you say, here's why this microphone, the Shure, whatever, 7 or whatever, is better than, something from Sony, that is only appealing to people who are actively shopping for microphones.
Sure.
And so that's a tiny segment of the marketplace, which means when you put that as your hook, to someone who's looking for microphones, it's going to resonate with them. But the average person, for lack of a better term, doesn't give a fuck.
They are really good mics.
But so, you see what I'm saying? But if you work it up and you say, okay, why do you get this? What solution? Like, what's the problem that it's solving? What's the symptom? And you come up with an interesting way of talking about it.
Sure.
Then that's where you get the relatability, if that makes sense.
Yeah, cool. All right, another obvious question. So if you're just starting out with TikTok, you're new to it, you've just downloaded it on your phone, TikTok Shop for creators requires you in the UK to have 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
How do you get from 0 to 1,000 followers?
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing is, annoyingly, this is probably the easiest part of the thing. So the first thing is try and think in your head, like, it's a big milestone, but just try and remove it from being a big milestone and focus on, because it's going to be harder from that point onwards. To get to 1,000 followers, there are loads and loads of different ways of doing it. There are shortcuts. There are ways to fast track it. My advice to everyone is anything that's fast, quick, and shortcut and easy, probably in the long run, it's not going to be worth the time. You're more worthwhile spending some time making good content that gets the views. For me, my method that I typically teach, that I say everyone should do, is what I call daily viral news content. And that's find topical trends in the news. All right. So, for example, no more than a few weeks ago, or a month ago, we had Hurricane Milton in the US.
Yeah.
Donald Trump winning the US presidency. All those things are massive trending pieces of news. And when you go into Google search trends, you can see that 6 million people are searching for that today, and you can see it trending on TikTok. And people just want more clarity, more information around the topic. So you can very easily just throw that search term as your hook, make a simple video, read off the BBC News article or something like that, and make a video on that, and that will get the views. That's how I grow all of my accounts to 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
But you can do things like the teamwork trend.
Yeah.
Which are, it's basically like a follow for follow method.
Do you recommend that?
Recommend is a strong word.
Well, I'd say, do you advocate it? Do you think people should be doing that? Could it hurt you in the long run doing that?
It can definitely hurt you in the long run, yeah.
Yeah.
I say there's two schools of thought here, right? Which is school one, which is what most people fall into. They just want to get into TikTok Shop and make the money.
Yeah.
Like, they want that quickly. And I get it. Trust me, I've been there before. But you're better. You can do the teamwork trend and get to 1,000 followers in 12 hours. You just spamming comments and liking and following and stuff. You're going to get shadow banned. TikTok will stop you from following too many people too quickly. The type of follower doesn't really matter, but it can sometimes mean that when you get to 1,000 followers and you apply for TikTok Shop, they reject you, and you've got no idea why. And it's probably because you've got these soft shadow bans that occasionally they just don't trust your account.
Sure.
So you can do it, yeah, but it's better just to make the content if you want to. You've got the time.
Okay, beyond the following count, what separates successful TikTok Shop creators? So you might have 20,000 followers or something like that, but actually you can't sell a product for love or money. Does this ultimately come back down to the content?
It's always down to the content. Interestingly, the followers don't actually mean a single thing. You can have 100,000 followers and, like you say, it'd be rubbish, or you could have 2 followers and go viral on your next video. It's just the content. It's just understanding how to make a good video.
So the 1,000 followers thing is only so you can get access to the shop.
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there about the success of you at all. It's only just so you can access it.
It's purely just a way to gatekeep who's got access. I mean, if you think about it, TikTok's going to have some form of quality control process. And typically speaking, if you can get to 1,000 followers, you can string together a sentence and make a video. And it's going to be to a decent enough degree that it can get the views to theoretically get you the followers, right?
Yeah.
And that's why they put it in place,
more
so than anything else. But yeah, it's just a framework. Get to a 1K, then you're in.
So you've been doing this for a while now, not just with TikTok Shop, but essentially, as you've said, you've been working for a decade in kind of online revenue streams and kind of learning your craft and working out what works and all this kind of stuff. And so now you're providing this knowledge to students. And for the most part, you're providing this free of charge because you're doing online videos. I've been to one of your free webinar events, which I found really insightful. I found it really, really interesting. You give out loads of value. You tell people how to do stuff. And, you know, I was noting it down going, oh, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting. So it is valuable, and it's great that you do that. But then you've also got the offering where you can essentially help people a bit more directly, have them as students and kind of really hold their hand a little bit in sort of, if they want to really seriously take that journey.
Yeah.
For those that are in your community, and I know you've got a big community of students, what's the percentage, would you say, of them that are really becoming successful or making this, you know, they're making significant money beyond it being peanuts in a, you know, every month? They're actually making a good income and actually they're doing well. Could you put a percentage on that? Do you have many failures, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Okay, so I'll answer it like this. I mean, first of all, let's just kind of define what a good amount of money is.
Yeah. Well, just before you answer that, let me just say the reason I'm asking that question is because the follow-up to it is, how do you set realistic expectations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'd say for me, when I look across the board, across all of our students, it's interesting. I would say 80 to 90% of people make money. It's like, that's not mean as lying or anything. It's actually absurd the amount of people that can start and make a little bit of money online. Now it's just a Gaussian distribution at the end of the day. You're going to get the majority of those that do make money sitting somewhere in the middle around the 800 to 1,500 a month in income, which is
not insignificant.
No, it's like
I mean, that's your mortgage paid, isn't it? Right?
Literally. So you know, there's a girl in our program who pays her mortgage from TikTok Shop. She's got like this disabled son or something she has to look after. It's just amazing to see. But it's just a standard distribution. And we have people that swing far right that have the girl who made £23,000 in 3 months, and you do get those unbelievable success stories. I'd say the vast majority of people, it's easily between £200 to £600 a month, and then obviously you get the occasional people that don't make anything. And that's always a shame. But I'd say like 80% of people at least make up to a couple £100 a month.
Yeah. And I would say also, if you've built a community of students and you've got a lot of students, and the thing I always say to people, because there's definitely skepticism about people selling courses or selling training or whatever, because, you know, it's everywhere. I mean, I'm sick of hearing the term digital products, selling digital products. That's all I see on TikTok is digital products. And I always go, I don't know what that means, or digital marketing is another one. I don't really know what that means. But for you to have those students and for them to come into your ecosystem and take part in whatever the service offering that you're doing, it's in your interest that they make money, right? Because then they'll continue to work with you, and they'll tell other people, and so on and so on. So I mean, it's obviously they must be doing something right. They must be making money. There are a lot of skepticisms about, I guess, what you would call get rich quick schemes.
Yeah.
And I suppose, how do you differentiate your approach from that? How do you sort of separate yourself as not someone who's kind of selling a dream of like, hey, you can be rich and this is all the great things you can do, to actually being more realistic and saying, look, here's something that's available to you. I'm going to tell you how to do it. You can do it or not do it, but here it is. How do you differentiate that?
The way that I look at it is typically if someone's doing what we call lifestyle marketing, they're selling some kind of dream. You look at my content, right? I'm sat behind a desk and I'm just teaching for like 7-minute videos. It's probably the world's most boring content, right? But if someone's always driving around in Lamborghinis and they're always on business class flights and fly to Dubai and all these kind of crazy things on mega yachts, and that is typically someone who's selling the dream. Yeah. Now it doesn't mean that the business model that they're talking about doesn't have merit and it doesn't work. Yeah. But it's those people are trying to sell the expectation that you're going to make, you know, 20,000 a month or something. Yeah. My philosophy and all of my content is what I try and say, and you know, I do it a lot, and it's like, you know, how to make your first £1,000. And I think that should always be everyone's first step, is make your first £1,000. Because £100 is, you know, you can get lucky and you can make £100. Doing £1,000, I think, is like, you've proved that there's merit to that model.
I think that's a really good goal. I honestly think the average person, if they made £1,000, you know, in whatever period, a couple of weeks or something like that of doing TikTok Shop, that would immediately make them go, well, I couldn't make that in any other way.
Exactly. And I think, you know, to the average person, you have to see that, like, you know, if you make a couple of quid from it, it's like, well, maybe I got lucky. It's like, it's nothing really here nor there. But when you make £1,000, you're suddenly like, you prove to yourself that, okay, there is some validity to some of these online money making things, and like, there are some really sus people out there. Don't get me wrong, But one thing that I have realized since kind of entering this world is most of the business models, most of the ways that you can make money online, like they do all work and they do all have merit. I know I've tried pretty much most of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should, as a beginner, like it's just the dream, really, isn't it? It's like, you know, I want to make thousands and thousands and thousands a month and be on jet skis all the time. And it's just not, it's not real. It's like, you do it occasionally, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was on a jet ski a few months ago, but it was great. I spent most of my time sat in London. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so let's think about sort of people that might be listening to this. If they've clicked on this podcast, then they're interested in making money online, because chances are I'm going to put a title on it that says something related to that. But so these people are probably working in a 9-to-5, right? They're doing their normal job, they're paying their mortgage, looking after their kids, worried about Christmas coming up, they can't turn the heating on, all that stuff, all the stuff we hear in the news every day. What's the first action step that they should take? If they genuinely really want to do this, what should they do tomorrow?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think get educated on it. But I'd say more than that. I'd say, you know, there's information everywhere. You can learn all this stuff for free. You don't have to. I mean, the reason why we have a coaching program isn't because we hide information. It's just because people need accountability. They need someone to go to when they're struggling, and someone to go to actually say, like, no, you're doing this wrong because I've done it before. You know, whereas as a beginner, you don't necessarily need that to go from 0 to step 1. What you need is to find someone that you like, that you look up to, that gives you information that you trust. And you're like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, and I'm going to follow him. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anyone else, right? Pick someone and stick to that person and give them their due time and say, look, I'm going to follow their steps, and stick to it, and give yourself a month, at least a month, maybe 2-3 months to give this its fair shot. And your step 1 should always be, you know, well, with TikTok Shop, it's post your first few videos and try and get to 1,000 followers. Like that's your baseline, your foundation. Get that, and then it's just building from that point onwards. But like, really, step 1 is if this is the first time you've heard about TikTok Shop, it's pick someone that you like, get surrounded in it, see the success stories, see the failures, see what the good things are about it, see what the bad things are about it, what's going to happen that's great, what's going to happen that's really bad, and get educated on it. And then once you're confirmed, I want to give this a shot.
Yeah.
Then give it its due.
Yeah, because I would say you can learn pretty quickly the basic principle of how things work just by scrolling on TikTok. If you're really interested in it, just go on, join TikTok, set up an account, and scroll. Yeah. And you'll start seeing immediately stuff out there and watch what's going on. But then there are people like you that are out there that are actively, you've got loads and loads of followers, you're actively posting God knows how many times a day. You're actively doing lives, you're never not on screen. So like, there are people out there that are literally, and I watch your videos and you do quite literally break it down to, you know, granular detail, you know, those real basic questions that people go, well, you know, it's beyond the top level and it's actually, but how? But what does that actually mean? And sometimes I think people need to hear that, because they just I can almost visualize someone stood there with a phone and just going, okay, now what? Now what do I do? Do you know what I mean? Because you can't, it sounds simple, but sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees.
Exactly. My philosophy behind everything that I do in my content and when I'm trying to teach people stuff, and, you know, because it's very easy for me to become quite detached from what it was like as a beginner, because it's been so long since I was a beginner. Don't get me wrong, I very much remember the problems of being a beginner, the frustrations, the difficulty, and it doesn't get any better. But the way that I look at it for everything is like, you know, my mom, she might actually be watching this podcast, who knows? But you know, I'll pretend that like I'll pretend that she's got like her phone out and doesn't know how to use like TikTok, right? And she would have no clue where to start when it comes to filming a video. And like, what do you mean tag a product? Where's the button to click the product? You're saying tag a product, link the product, hashtags. What even is a hashtag? You know, these basic questions. And if I can speak to, you know, someone like that, then you know, it's someone who understands that. They're still going to find value from it. They're still going to find it useful, or perhaps they watch my content and they just find it entertaining, or they look at the comment section. They're going to bring something away from it. But it's speaking to the beginner who's like, you know, most of the stuff isn't out there. It's always just like, look how much money I make. Yeah. Look at me going and shopping and buying a new Lamborghini, or God knows what else. It's like, bro, just give me the steps.
Just tell me.
What do I need to do?
Say. Yeah. So. And do you ever find, I'm just thinking of questions that people would want answering based on their everyday kind of experiences of this. And I'm trying to think of things that I've done that I can relate to it. So do you ever find issues like, for example, you'll tag a product in your video, but then when you post the video, the product doesn't appear. Is there
Yeah.
anything like, is that just a bug thing, or are you doing something wrong? Is there?
Weird. It's just, as far as I'm aware, maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong here, but as far as I'm aware, it's just a glitch.
Right.
Typically speaking, it's just you that can see it on your own account.
Right.
More of like 9 times out of 10, if you go to, if you've got another account and you check, or if you get a friend to have a quick look, it's typically there. Some products, it depends as well. Like some products go through like a bit of an approval process where they review to see whether or not, before they publish your video sometimes, if it's in the supplement space, for example, they want to check that you've not violated any of their community guidelines.
Yeah.
And so before they actually tag the product, make it publicly visible, sometimes they can do a bit of a review process. So my advice is give it some time, see if it shows up. If it doesn't show up, check on another account. If it's still not there, it's probably a bug. Recreate the video. Is that across the board, or is it just on one account?
Sure.
But more often than not, it's a bit of a glitch. Yeah.
And you've mentioned the community guidelines a few times. Is this something you think people really should actually be looking at and reading?
Yeah.
Or can you give in a nutshell, I mean, is it like don't swear, don't be nude or whatever?
Yeah.
or like what, is it quite in-depth stuff that you need to really be aware of?
Yeah, you got to be really careful.
Yeah.
I think as a basic thing, like it will take you 15 minutes to read the community guidelines. Just go TikTok Shop, community guidelines, read the terms of service. It'll take you 10, 15 minutes to do, but it will save your account.
Yeah.
Because you're like, most beginners will lose their first account. I lost my first account. And it's not necessarily things you would think about. It's not like, obviously you're not going to get naked on a camera, right? But swearing isn't really a huge issue. Things like harassment and bullying, that's not really an issue. Not really going to say stuff like that. It's small things about, people don't realize when you're selling a product and it's something that people have to use and look at, you can't make outrageous, ridiculous claims.
Yeah, sure.
And so, for example, the supplement space, everyone gets violations left, right, and center. So you have to be careful, because if you don't want to get violations with supplements, it's essentially if you say product plus medical condition plus claim, if you do those three things, you're going to get a violation point. And people don't realize that a claim can be something like, this will soothe you, or this will help you.
Yeah, sure.
And synonyms of those words. And like just by reading that, you can save your account, because too many violation points you get, your reach will get restricted. You won't get the views, and then eventually you'll just lose your account.
I guess fundamentally, whilst it's authentic kind of videos, you are fundamentally selling a product, you're advertising. And in the same world that we buy, paracetamol in the supermarket or whatever, pharmaceutical companies or product companies, they have to, if they make claims on boxes, they have to support them claims. It's 2 times faster, it's 3 times whiter, it's whatever. These are claims that they have to back up with science to justify that. So you can't just go on a video and go, this will make my headache go 20 times faster than something else, because TikTok are going to say, well, how do you know that kind of thing? So
Exactly,
it's a violation. Yeah. So, there are things to think about, but I guess this comes back to that point of being whether you want to take the process seriously or not. It sounds like to me that the average person, if you're kind of just doing this as a bit of a side gig and maybe you're posting a video here and posting a video there, you're likely not to see traction. It sounds like something you need to either be committed to or not.
Yeah, you definitely can. With anything, right? The two easiest ways to mitigate luck and to give yourself the best chance of success, it's just volume and consistency.
Yeah.
If you do anything and you do enough of it, extended over a long enough time horizon, you're going to get results. It's just a fact of what's going to happen. For some people it can take years, some people it can take months. So if you want to take it seriously to the extent that you want to make, even £500 or £1,000 or £2,000 a month from it, which, that's a very good amount for a lot of people, right?
Sure.
You have to say to yourself, look, 3 videos a day, I'll do it every day for a month. And it seems like a lot. But then when you take into account, to start with, maybe it'll take you 15 minutes per video. Then you're going to get down to the point, I can throw up a video in about, 3, 4, 5 minutes and then get that out. And that's 15 minutes a day to potentially a pretty profitable return. And the reason why it works as well is because your videos that you posted 2-3 months ago are still going to bring in a few views. They're still going to bring in a few sales. And if you have a backlog of 500 videos that are all bringing in a sale a day, you're bringing in a really decent amount. And that's where typically that's why I say don't give up after a month or two.
Yeah, well, you just touched upon it there as well. It was one of the questions I was going to ask you, which was about number of times posted in a day. I see loads about this. 3 times a day, 5 times a day, once a day. Does it make a difference? Is there any truth in it?
Yeah.
Or do you actually you do need to be posting regularly?
Yeah, you've got to be posting regularly. It's not... Okay, so the way to look at it is posting a large volume of content or posting consistently 3, 4, 5 videos a day, that's not going to, as a byproduct of posting more volume, it's not going to get you more views, but it's going to get you better at the skill of posting content, and that will then get you more views. And also you've tripled or quadrupled or 5x the number of content you're going to post. The way that I look at it is, as I say to someone this, I'm like, look, if you posted one video a day, you're going to post 30 videos over the course of the month, right? If I post 5 videos a day, by the time that you've done like a year's worth of content, I would have achieved the same results in like 30 days. It's taken you a year to get to. If my maths is right, it's probably wrong there, but like roughly, it's going to take you so much. The time taken to learn that same that skill is going to be in such a shorter period of time, and that's what's going to get you the results. Is because now you're just good at what you do now. It's just a skill, right?
Yeah.
So that's the merit in posting more volume, basically.
Sure. And what about having multiple accounts? Is it worth having multiple accounts?
Nah, not really.
No.
Yes and no. I say have a backup account. Always have one. You got your main account. Have a backup account that you go to 1,000 followers. That's there because, like, when you approach anything on TikTok, your philosophy should be, I will lose my account. It will happen. It's one of those things. It's like, it's not a question of like if, it's a question of when. Like, I lost my main personal brand TikTok account. I lost it yesterday or 2 days ago. Someone keeps paying to get me taken down. Right. I got it back, but like, so that's why I've got backup accounts and stuff.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, if it goes and you lose your TikTok shop account and you've spent months building it, and now you got to build a new account with 1,000 followers, it's just exhausting. So I always have a backup account you can just jump onto.
Yeah,
that's what I'd say.
But fundamentally, you don't need to have multiple accounts selling. Just
no.
work from one.
One account will do the trick.
Yeah, and also there's probably a risk of burnout, right? Especially if you're not doing this as a full-time job. So if you're doing a 9 to 5 and you're posting on TikTok as a side thing, which is completely possible to do, as you said, you could spend 15, 20 minutes a day doing something like this on a night when you're watching telly or whatever. But with that, there's got to be an element of burnout. Well, the reason I say that is I think if it does take time before you actually start seeing your first pound coming through, your first commissions, a lot of people, it's kind of like going to the gym or something, you get to the point you go, I can't be bothered with this,
Yeah.
So is this a mindset thing? Is it a thing where you've got to push through and sort of be consistent? Is that really important for this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could literally show you like my Stripe screenshot from like my business, and you'll see that like with anything, it's just you just flatline, and you're frustrated and angry and fed up because you're like, I'm doing this and I'm not being paid for my time. I don't think it's worth it. And then suddenly you'll hit a point, and this inflection point where everything will just go parabolic. And it's what people don't understand is it doesn't feel like you're making progress, but you're laying the foundations of like the way that I approach it. I say this to everyone is like, you're learning a skill of apparating money out of thin air from the internet. It's insane what you can actually do. And like, it's become such a buzzword of like make money online that it's become so normalized. But when you actually think about what you're doing, it's incredible what you can actually do. From literally sat on your sofa, you could be lying in your bed and making money, right? And so if you're going to do that, you have to, with that benefit is going to come some pain and some suffering, and that's going to be the fact that you could spend 6 months doing it and make only a couple £100, and then you get that one viral video that gets 10 million views and you make 5, 6, 7, 8 grand, and you're like, that's what makes it all worth it.
But the thing I always think is, I've been self-employed pretty much all my life now, and it's hard to build businesses. It's really hard work, and anyone who says it's just quick, it's just not. It's just really, really hard work. You get stung, you get things wrong, you lose things. I mean, it happens all the time, and as you said, you've had a decade of experience in trying, doing things and whatever, and before you've got to your sort of success. But I always think, for those people that are getting to that point, like if they were doing TikTok shop and they're starting out and they're saying, it's just quite hard work, this. How hard work is it that your life, what you're doing today, like going to work is hard work? You're trying to change your life to some extent, maybe not be a full-time income, but at least significantly supplement it. Now, how much is that worth to you, I guess, is the question. Because it's going to take time. It's going to take a little bit of work. You are going to have to put the time in. But what are you doing instead? And secondly, the only reason you're doing this is because you don't like the situation you've got now.
Yeah.
So you have to put the time in, right?
You have to. And I think, I say this all the time. There was people that I speak to, and they say, I want to make loads of money and I want to do it in a really short period of time. And I'm like, okay, you can do that, but like, let's just, let's not run before you can walk. Like, what's the reason you want to do this? Like, I think I do it in my free classes. I say, look, what's the reason why you want to make money online? Like, you have to be clear in your goal so you can retroactively build the steps to reach that goal. You can't just say, well, I want to make money. It's like, well, why? Yeah. Like, money at the end of the day is just a tool that you can use for something. It's going to buy you certain things. It's going to buy you comfort. But the problems you have in your life right now, you're still going to have the problems. You just now got more money. And you've still got the same
probably
problem.
More problems, frankly.
But, and like, you know, if it's, you know, there was a, like I say, you get always really great, amazing people that like, you know, just want to, you know, there's this person, they have like an autistic son, they're spending all their day with, and they only make £500 a month because they can't work. And it's like, for someone like that, just being able to make an extra £500 a month, that's a 2x on what they're taking home every single month. And so yeah, just slowly building towards that and compounding it. Because otherwise, you know, if you're doing something that you hate at the moment, you can spend, 10, 15 years working in something that you hate, and you'll give like 8-9 hours a day, not to mention all the time you're spending thinking about it when you're away on holiday and in the evenings, to something that you hate doing. You know, at least give yourself the time to actually give a month or 2 or 3 months to something that you actually might want to do.
What would you say to like the skeptics out there? So there are going to be people that are definitely watching this, and probably people that comment on your own stuff and come on your lives and say, this is a load of BS. Like, you know, he's selling the dream, or he's selling something that isn't realistic for many, or whatever. I mean, is there a line for that? Do you have a standard response that you say and say, look, I mean, obviously the obvious one is like, well, you don't need to be here. Like, you don't have to listen to me. You know, I mean, obviously don't watch me if you don't like it, swipe. But on a more general level, that, you know, people finding it hard to believe that you can just make money lying in your bed, which, you know, the world's changed and you can do that. But what would you say to the skeptics?
Well, I understand it. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, why would you, right? If you went back to like the dark ages now with an iPhone, everyone probably burn you at the stake, right? So like, you can only make informed decisions on like an event based on personal experience, right? You know, it's your friends and your family can try and advise you best on certain problems that you have in your life, but if they've not experienced those problems before, they're not going to be able to give you the best advice. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take it or listen to what they're trying to say, but it's the same with skepticism about anything. It's like, well, if you've never experienced it, your family has never made money online, you've never made money online, anyone that you've spoken to, your personal circle has never done it, and it's just this random fucking kid on TikTok who's saying he makes money. Like, why would you believe it? You wouldn't. And it's like, it's fair enough. But, you know, if there's even an ounce of curiosity, then I think you should investigate it at the very least.
I would say as well that, I mean, you touched upon it earlier on, but it is a different world. We are in a different world, and it is an online, internet-led world. And all these people that are buying on Amazon, shopping for Christmas right now, all you people that yourself are scrolling on TikTok and buying things for stocking fillers and that stuff can only exist if people are buying it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it can't exist without it. So TikTok Shop is exploded in the last 2 years. It's just become the go-to for everything. Now, the only reason that happens is because there's a community of people on TikTok talking about it and selling it. Right,
and people buying it,
and people buying it. Yeah, exactly. So somebody's making money somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So it's there. It's in front of you. TikTok, you know. So TikTok will be making a fortune, I'm sure. But what I'm saying is, there's thousands of videos out there every single day. You only have to look at your news feed and you'll see it. And people are doing it because people do make money from this thing. Now, the ones that will be successful at it are the ones that maybe put the time in, more consistent, try to develop their craft, try making different videos, try doing different styles, you know, and you have to go through the pain of like, is this working or isn't this working? But, you know, you've just got to keep the vision in mind, just keep pushing. And as you said, you know, the spike can just happen. It can, you know.
You're right, though. Like, it is really interesting because, like, by virtue of people buying things on TikTok Shop, someone's got to be selling it.
Exactly.
And the way to sell it is as a creator. So if you're, you know, I get people who come to me and say there's no way you can make money on it. And then they come to my live streams and I'm like, have you ever bought a product from TikTok Shop? They're like, oh yeah, I've done my Christmas shopping on here. It's like, like, okay, so if you spend £300 and stuff, it's like, you know, if you just drop 300 quid on, you know, Christmas presents on TikTok Shop, the creator's getting 10-20% of that. Okay, you've just proven to yourself that it works. Like, it's the economy, it's there, right? So you just have to start looking at it from a different perspective, I think. So,
Okay, I'm aware of time, so I'll start bringing it down to close. We put some videos out yesterday, so we asked for audience questions to like whatever they want to ask you. So I've got a list of questions which I'll come to in just a second. But just before we move off TikTok, you have a huge following on Instagram. You have a lot of views on YouTube and stuff like that. Is there benefits for people exploring other digital means beyond the TikTok Shop, which is obviously our focus today? But you know, is it worth looking at this other world of like how else can you generate income?
100%, yeah. I mean, look at my own background, right? I've tried SMMA, I've tried drop shipping, I've tried a little bit of fucking, like everything I've tried. And I wouldn't be here today without the merit of those other business models. You know, I wouldn't, like, all the skills that I have learned have come from me trying and failing and seeing various levels of success at everything. And 100%, I think you should always try and see what's out there, what's on offer, what do you associate with most, what do you like the most, what can you see yourself doing more, understand the economics of that business model. You know, is it more profit? Is it more time you've got to spend on it? You've got to work more Zoom calls for like clients, or what's the different things out there that you can be good at? The reason why I say TikTok Shop is great is because I just see the size of the creator economy and I'm like, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And being a creator was scoffed at 5-10 years ago. Everyone was like, you know, oh, dude's just posting YouTube videos. It's just it's not going to go anywhere. And we've seen it's a $1 trillion industry. So getting good at going viral organically. If you can prove to a brand owner or a business owner like myself, if someone came to me and said, look, I can generate 100 million views a month and I can sell out any product, that's an invaluable skill.
Of course it is. Yeah.
And like whether or not you can get, or you go on to get a job in marketing or go in job when you can show that, or you want to start your own business, it's a really, really valuable skill that can take you into other aspects.
Yeah.
Or so yeah, definitely.
And I presume on TikTok Shop as well, if you get good at what you're doing and you get a good following and you're doing well, there's opportunities for brands and things, brand deals to come to you.
Yeah.
You know, because you're making videos and you get a good audience.
Yeah.
And so actually, if you really want to build this into a career, if you like, beyond a side hustle, that is possible. You know, it takes time and commitment, but actually that is doable.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I've put an email in my link in my bio, and I've got brands like asking to sponsor me all the time. There's a brand that pays me like $1,000 a month to post one video a month.
Yeah.
And like you can get into that position with just a little bit of, you know, tenacity and a little bit of like putting some effort in and consistently.
Yeah.
And definitely you can turn it into something really good.
Cool. Okay. Just finally on this point then, so looking at the broader landscape of TikTok Shop and how that sits in kind of the digital marketplace online world, what do you think the future of it is? Is this a boom, and then it plateaus out? Do you think, or do we see this being actually this is the way forward? You know, for the foreseeable future.
I think with everything we go through this stage of it doesn't really exist and it explodes and then it's going to kind of plateau and then it's good. But I think the general trend is upwards.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to compete with companies like Amazon and, you know, these big shopping platforms. And the one benefit that TikTok has is they have the user base.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
if you're trying to launch a marketplace nowadays, like if you're trying to launch a new Amazon, you've got a really big problem because you've got to get the customers and you've got to get the business owners. Whereas TikTok, they've spent years building up a billion monthly users on TikTok. They've only rolled it out in like the US, the UK, and a couple of like Asian countries, and that's it. And so we haven't even seen this in places like France and Germany and the rest of Europe, like massive economies. You know, I'm a official partner of TikTok now, and I spoke to one of the ladies at TikTok, and they're already talking about bringing methods, things that they run in China that they don't do in the UK, that they're bringing over to the UK already. And so I can see it's going to continue growing to the size of, I mean, I think they did like $11-15 billion in sales in 2023. Amazon does like $300 to $400 billion. So it's like that's where the growth is. And it's the only way I think that they can long-term survive as a platform anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, whether in 10 years' time it'll be TikTok or be bought by some other massive company, I don't know, but I think there's definitely legs to it in the long term, 100%.
Yeah, because what I found interesting when I was attending one of your lives is you were sort of saying, look, this is huge and is opportunity for everyone, but it's only going to get busier. More people are only going to catch on to it, you know. So if you want to be part of the journey, get on it now. You know, now what are you waiting for? And I really liked your line because you was essentially saying, what actually are you waiting for? I think you'd said something along the lines of, the question you're asking now will still be the same question in 3 months.
Yeah,
you'll be asking yourself the same question, which I found really interesting because that's true, isn't it? I suppose the message is, if you actually you've articulated that it's possible. You can set up a TikTok, you can get onto TikTok Shop, and you can sell products and you can make money, and you can make a lot of money if you're consistent with it. But you can only do it if you do it.
Yeah.
Fundamentally.
Yeah, the fastest way to fail is not take any action, right? The only thing is I would say to beginners as well is like by not starting, you guarantee that it's never going to work. You guarantee failure.
Yeah.
But everyone says, oh, like I've got nothing going for me at the moment. It's like, that's good. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You're at ground zero right now. Your plan B is most people's plan A. So like, just give it a go. Worst case, you waste a month. It's not like you've you're not even wasted because you've learned a skill, but you've given it a go. And like, you know, it's the age-old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago and the second best time is today, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with TikTok.
Yeah.
Any opportunity.
And I suppose it ties into that life point, I guess, really, isn't it? Where, if you don't try, you don't succeed, fundamentally. And if you're able to be on your phone browsing TikTok and you're able to post videos about how woeful your life is or whatever, then maybe you're able to post videos about what great products or whatever it is you bought. I mean, what I'm saying is you've got the capability, you've got the time to do it, so use it in some other possible way. You might as well try it. What have you got to lose?
Might as well give it a go.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Give it a go.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we asked for some questions from the audience. You've probably touched on some of this stuff, but because they've been so kind to send us questions, and I promised that we would send them replies. So after I've edited this up, somebody will put clips out. I'm sure Matt will do it. So to say hello. Okay, so Shop Till You Drop with Jules. Nice name, like that. I've set up a TikTok shop. I don't know where to go from there. I don't know how to join the products with the links in the warehouse and the merchandise. I've screamed for help, but nothing. Can you help?
Okay, so I presume she's talking about how to link the product.
I think she's saying, how do you link the product in the video?
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, so I think she was talking about linking with the merchandise and the products. Okay, so the first thing I'll answer here, and maybe I'll get this wrong, maybe I've interpreted it incorrectly, but the first thing is, what she's saying, you don't have to manage any stock.
Yeah.
Right. So.
I see.
I think that's partly there, and then we'll talk about linking in a second. But
yeah,
you haven't got to manage any stock, so you don't have to ship anything out, do any customer service, build a website, put a link in your bio, or anything like that. All you do is you film a review on any product. So pair of headphones, some simple review, and then post it. Now, when it comes to tagging the product, when you film the video, film it natively on TikTok. You can film it and edit it in CapCut and upload it. But when you get it into TikTok and you get this little red tick to go to the next page, when you go to the next page, there's a box at the top of your screen that will say description. You can put your hashtags and your comments in there. Then there's a little image to the side that says select the cover, which is the front thumbnail of your video, basically. Just below that, there's 3 dots, different colored dots, and it says add link. If you click on that, it'll bring up a bit of a selection. In the middle, there's 3 options, but in the middle, it'll say product with a little yellow shopping basket. If you click on that, it'll then bring up your showcase, where you can add things from your showcase. Now, to get something into your showcase, that's how you tag it to the video, you go into your settings, you 3 lines, the top right-hand side, you're going to go to Creator Tools, and then you're going to go to Product Marketplace on the TikTok Shop. When you find your product, there's going to be a big red button that says add. And I'll add it into your showcase. So then when you go to your video and you click on the 3 lines and add the link and the product, it'll be there under your settings to link it to the video. Yeah.
Okay. So you're not managing stock. You haven't got to do anything. You're literally adding the product within TikTok to your video.
Yeah.
And they're doing all the work, essentially distributing it. And if you sell it, you're making a commission off it. That's basically how that works.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you need to go into the marketplace, find the products, add them to your showcase, so that when you do make the video, you can select that product and link it in.
Yeah.
So we hope that helps. This next one, I can't say your name on the podcast because that wouldn't be allowed. This is what will get me banned. But sorry about your name, MF. But how do I get more views on my shop videos? They never go above 200. We've touched upon this earlier on, haven't we? But just in a nutshell reply for that.
In a nutshell, okay, so there's a big second question on this. People typically ask me is, I'm getting 500, 600, 700 views on my videos. Now I'm doing TikTok Shop, I get 200 views. Nutshell is look at the first 3 seconds of your videos, make the hook more intriguing, guarantee of a payoff, more relatable, a little bit more controversial, show a raw reaction to you unboxing the product or using the product, or if you're playing Monopoly and someone screams and throws the board across the table, that'll be your hook. Work on that, and then everything else is secondary. Work on the first 2-3 seconds, until you start seeing a marked increase in that retention rate.
Yeah, and you touched on earlier on, check your analytics, look at the retention rate. If they're dropping out at 3 seconds, then your video is not very good, basically. It's just not hooking it in. That's brutal. Sorry, that's really brutal, but we have to say these things because we want you to get better, right?
Yeah.
Okay, FMC. Right, you've sent me quite a lot, so I'm just going to try and nutshell these down into questions. The problem, all right, so finding a passion and a niche to start with selling on TikTok. Do you need to start with a passion and a niche that you're interested in?
I would say if you have a passion and a niche, you'll know you've got one. So yeah, give it a go, right? If you're struggling to find a passion or struggling to find a niche, you're adding too many steps to this process. You don't need to find a passion or need to find a niche first.
Yeah.
You can film any product or anything like that. It doesn't have to be in a specific niche. It can be any niche. Just find the trending products. Go through your For You page, find a video that's going viral that was posted 2-3 days ago. Spend a bit of time doom scrolling, and you'll find one, and then start there. It doesn't have to be in a specific niche.
And she also added to this that she doesn't want to buy a product that won't work and then lose all the capital, which I suppose is always a risk. You might buy something and it's just not a very good product.
Yeah,
right.
It is a risk. I would say, okay, so my response to this is if you buy the product and it's a bad product, you can send the product back. Now, I always advise people buy it from Amazon, because you can typically, I mean, in London, I can get same day or next day delivery, and speed is everything in TikTok and trends and all that kind of stuff. So get it from Amazon. You can even film a few videos on it, and if it genuinely doesn't work, and you're like, this product is terrible, it doesn't do what it says on the tin, you can send it back, and you can get your money back if it's crap.
The other thing to say on that, though, as well, if you get good products, check the reviews. There's loads of reviews on TikTok. There's thousands of people that say, I love this, it's great, it's the best thing ever. You know, like star reviews. It's a good guide. If it's got only 3 reviews, and, you know, maybe that's not the one to go with. But if you've got something with 1,000 people have bought it, chances are it's okay.
Yeah. I always say 1,000 views, 4.5 stars or 4 stars above.
Yeah.
1,000 people bought it at 4.5 stars plus is typically your benchmark.
And also, you're just in terms of losing capital, you're only ever buying probably one product, one version of that, and the likelihood is it's not a vastly expensive product. So the very worst case scenario, you're losing the purchase cost if you didn't send it back.
You'll lose 10, 20 quid.
20 quid. So listen, it's worth it. Right. Oh, so the other part of this question was about links. Like links on profile. She's saying she's worried about people becoming skeptical because everyone is kind of, rather than selling the product themselves, they're selling like a course or something behind that. And she said she'd feel guilty having to kind of do the same thing to buy her course. You know, but I think she's basically saying, do I need to have some sort of business behind like the TikTok shop, essentially?
No, you can just do TikTok shop. Yeah, you don't have to have any business behind it. I mean, the thing is, right, the reason why people sell coaching programs and courses and stuff on TikTok shop is because there's some people that want to do it, and it's going to create a vacuum, right? When there's supply, when there's demand for that service, someone will supply it. And that's why it's there. But it doesn't mean you have to be the one that supplies it. Someone else will.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't need to have a link in your bio. They don't have to click through. Just find nice products if you want to talk about them, be authentic, and sell them. And if people buy them, they buy them, and that's how you make money.
Yeah.
Sorry, like you've sent me a lot of questions, FMC. So I'm going to kind of wrap up into this last one because it kind of ties it all together. So she says she believes people's eyes are opening, especially with the TikTok content, that they can use things like ChatGPT to get those contents we're trying to sell, and then use those platforms like Etsy or other platforms to essentially resell. So she's saying, why doesn't everybody just go and do these places themselves? I think she's saying there's other opportunities to buy products, sell them on other platforms. So why wouldn't more people do that? But I suppose the answer to that is, well, they can. They can.
I mean, it's a free world, right? It's a free marketplace. People can do what they want. You're always going to get... Okay, so the way that I look at it is this, is I will go live on TikTok and I'll get a couple of thousand people on it. I can get 100,000 views on a video, and maybe 1% of those people will actually probably take action. And of those people, you know, maybe 1% of them will continue after the first month. And, you know, there's a really great stat, which is like something to do with podcasts, which is I think 99% of people who've ever started a podcast haven't gotten past episode 1, and the 99% who do don't get past episode 20. So by virtue of posting 21 podcasts, you're in the top 0.01% of people that have ever done a podcast and ever will, ever. So it's the same thing with TikTok Shop and anything like that. It's so easy to see, well, there's hundreds of thousands of views, millions of people doing this. What is it going to get too competitive? Or why aren't they doing other things? And it's like, well, the vast majority of them are never going to take action on it and do it.
Yeah. I can attest to this, because I can say with the podcast stuff, the stats you've just quoted are absolutely right. But in terms of, you know, whatever it is you're building, whether you're selling on TikTok Shop, you're building a podcast, you're making videos, whatever it is you're doing, the realism is majority of the people won't take action. Yeah. Or they won't stick it out. It's like going to the gym. Everybody says they want to go work out, blah, 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 but there's a massive drop off.
Huge,
you know, because people just can't commit to that. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. People could go and do things, and if they want to do that, they could go do that. Go do that. That's cool. That's great. We would encourage that, but like the chances are they're not. You know, and to be frank, you know, people struggle to commit to something that involves a little bit of work sometimes.
Yeah.
And so actually you're in the best place, because, and the reason we're advocating TikTok Shop is because, as Matt's touched upon earlier on, it's actually probably the most accessible way for you to be able to do this without doing a load of donkey work. You know,
I'd say so. And the other thing on that, like, honestly, if I was to give any piece of advice, it would be the easiest way to outcompete and to succeed in anything that you do is just stick it out for longer than most people. If you just stay at it for a year, 99% of your competition would have given up.
Yeah.
And so now you're competing with the top 1%.
Yeah.
And you're in that top 1% because everyone else has fucking left. So like,
yeah,
you know,
I keep telling myself that. I keep filming these podcasts.
Literally.
Right. I'll come to sort of bringing it to a close, but there's just a couple of final bits I wanted to touch upon. So you're here today because I randomly commented on one of your videos and said, hey, Matt, this is really interesting. Why don't you come on my podcast? And you kindly said yes, got on a train, came up to Hull. So thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here. And, you know, so folks, just on that note, it pays sometimes just to ask the question because maybe they will, you know, so who knows? But the comment I'd put on your post is actually you, at the time you was talking about taxes. Now, we're not going to get into that now because we'll talk about it forever. But it ties into one of the last questions, which was around, do you need to have a business? Do you need to set up a limited company? Do you need to have any business infrastructure to do TikTok Shop?
Short answer is no. You don't need to. If you start making a decent amount from it, it pays to have one, yes. You can just add it on top of your personal income if you want. If you're making an extra grand, up to £1,000, I believe, is tax free anyway. But beyond that point, then it just goes into your personal, or you can be a sole trader, or you can then go into a limited company. So you don't need to, no.
No. And I would say to the question here, majority of people aren't. Most people that are on there are likely just everyday Joes like you and I. You know, just kind of they probably have a job or they probably do something else and they're just selling stuff on TikTok. It's nothing to do with business. If you're going to turn it into an income, are you making money and you're actually making significant money from it, then you maybe need to speak to an accountant and find out if, you know, what the best way to deal with that is. But as a general rule, no, just be you. Post videos and stick them out. Yeah. Matt, this has been so interesting. I've really loved this. I think it would be good for just a shout out to where people can find you, because I've watched your videos, I've been on your lives. I think you add massive value. You know, based on some of the questions here, people are sort of saying, I don't know basic things of how to do this, how to do that. And sometimes you just need that bit of guidance and someone to tell you, you do this every day. So probably firstly come and find you on TikTok, right? Yeah,
it's New Matt Moore on TikTok, and then it's Matthew Moore on Instagram.
New Matt Moore TikTok, it's Matthew Moore Instagram. Go check him out. Follow, watch his videos. He'll literally answer all of your questions, and or as best he can. And then if you get into sort of serious stuff and you really want to get some help in holding hands and like really getting into the deep sort of dive of this stuff, then there's things that you offer off the back of that. And he does a free webinar, by the way, which you should definitely go to, because I don't know how you do it because they're exhausting to watch. So you sit on TikTok live practically all day and then go and do like a webinar on the night, and even I was watching it going, God, you must be tired. But it's really engaging, and he does that. And if you really want to know the depths, join it. He has a link in his bio. Click through and just join it because it's free and you get loads of information. So go do that. Matt, this has been really interesting. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. Really enjoyed it.
All the best. Take care.
Cheers.